So it brings us to the eclipse. It's happening in 8 days from now in Libra 1.
Yeah.
What are some thoughts about this, maybe that, from the Wild Way Oracle deck?
Well, I made a lot of notes. This is going to be visible over much of Europe, Northeast Asia, Australia. I was looking into the Saros cycles for it. It's Saros cycle 113, and it's a very old cycle. There's been 64 of them, and there's usually 71 cycles. The cycles are like 18 years apart of each eclipse in the cycle. So the last eclipses in this particular cycle were March 2006, March 1988, and February 1970. So we can maybe cast our minds back to what was going on for us, and that might give us some clues as to what might come up, because it's going to hit the same parts. Will it hit the same parts of the charts? Maybe not. That might not be right.
Well, let's speak to that axis, right?
Yeah.
The Libra Aries axis. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and this is the middle one. This is the middle Libra eclipse that's happened, because the first one happened in October last year, and then this one, and then the next one will happen this fall, that final one, before we move into the Pisces Virgo.
So it's a continuation of what we've already been introduced to. So it's Venus ruled, as you've already said, and Saturn exalted. So the Libra one is about time to weigh up your options. Maybe this, maybe that. And you've got this bat hanging upside down, this beautiful card that Nicola Allen Art, is that how I say it? Her reference there from the Wild Way Oracle deck. And she announced today that she's going to be writing a beautiful book on the decans, giving even more, all sorts of wonderful information drawn from various sources to sort of further pad out this information. But she's given us the keywords there of awareness of injustice, balance of opposing forces, and fairness. So again, those kind of questions might be coming up for us at this time. And it's about weighing up our options, assessing any situation with diplomacy and tact, which is very much a Libra thing. And the bat is a master of meditation. Encourages us to apply the same ideals when we're presented with an issue. And she reminds us to remember that there's opposing views to consider, and we might need to leave our own preconceptions behind if we want to reach a resolution. Any injustice will be exposed and judged. So that's a lot.
Well, and just being South Node, it's like that's kind of maybe what we need to address so that we can let it go and move on from it. I mean, I'm not in the camp that South Nodes are always bad or North Nodes are always good. So it might be difficult. It might be something that we're tired of dealing with or tired of talking about, but it's also, we wouldn't have things that we enjoy talking about if we didn't also have things that we didn't like to talk about. So I like that, the balance of opposing forces, that tension between the two, Aries and Libra. Should we move on? Shauna, do you have any thoughts?
I'm just wondering what kind of decisions are going to be made when Venus does meet up with Saturn. And it feels like that the eclipse is actually going to offer that empowerment, is what it feels like, with both luminaries, highlighting everything. I feel like it's just going to offer that nudge, that push that we might not have seen before.
Yeah, that's what they often do, is they put us, if we're in the right place, we usually often don't even feel it. But if we're not, we get like quite forcibly moved into where we need to be. It can be quite disruptive.
Well, and is that 5 degree, is that the degree that Libra, or that Jupiter, who was also in Venus's sign, that he stationed at when he went retrograde? So just wonder, when was that? October? I feel like that was like October 21st-ish. Is that?
Yeah, and I think then we were pointing out that the eclipse was coming up at that degree.
Yeah, so it's like that, it's almost like just like pins on a map of like they all have like started to they've decided to pause at that particular place. And Libra and Taurus can't see each other through traditional sight, but they're both Venus ruled, and so that was a yin expression of Venus, and this is a yang expression of Venus. So it might be more subtle, especially if it doesn't hit you at that particular degree. But I don't know, it just feels like these very wafty layers that are repeating,
Yeah, and with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction coming in Venus's sign, it's kind of like we're getting clear because this big breakthrough is coming. And it's like everything's just saying, come on, you're clearing the decks because it's needed. If you're going to see this breakthrough, if you're going to have a chance to grab what's being offered to you there, or are you going to cling to the stale and the old ways of being and doing? Are you ready to take that step forward into the future?
Yeah, and just making space for things by letting things go. I think that you can, Libra as the scales is like weighing what the value is of things and deciding that if something, even if it has value, if it doesn't have value to you right now, it's okay to pass that on. It's like the Marie Kondo of like thanking that bag of clothes that you used to like and taking them to the thrift shop to just, they're still good value, but making the space because now you have space in your closet to add new things that are going to serve you better, just like as a symbol of it's just okay to let things move on to their next life. And South Node, I think, kind of helps us. And if we can surrender to that a little bit, it usually is a little bit more gentle. But then sometimes eclipses are so nuanced. You're like, what was supposed to happen? Nothing really happened. Like that's the thing about eclipses. They are either smack you in the face or they haunt you by you reading your journal a year and a half later. You're like, that was that day. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. And as Adam says, quite often it's a process of something very simple being planted that you're not aware is even a thing, or a chance meeting or something that seems to be nothing. And then it grows so slowly. And it only becomes a thing 6, 9, 12 months later that you realize that this is actually important. But at the time, it doesn't seem significant. The eclipse passes. You think, no, that didn't have anything for me.
And it's like a pebble in the water. The first ring that it makes is very tiny. But then with enough space, it just continues to reverberate. And then those concentric circles get bigger and bigger and bigger. And they literally make waves the further they're out to go. But it all starts with a very, very small thing. And then to go concentrically, we're not aware sometimes of the concentric circle waves that we create by just the tiniest little action. And the action for this being it's a South Node lunar, to me, it keeps coming to the allowance of things to be gone and the surrendering of that instead of, because we'll get to a solar eclipse. As you can see, this